We're live. Hey. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday night Wisdom Share Sacred Practices. We're glad you're all here tonight. Really excited to have Emmanuel Snyder here this evening. I'm going to be sharing energy healing and Reiki and channeling energy and a lot of the healing modalities. So we're really excited to have you. Of course, you'll be able to share all about that in a second. So we're so happy that you're here tonight. Thank you for coming and sharing our wisdom and sacred practice. One of the things we do is the whole kind of general vision for Wednesday night Wisdom Share Sacred Practices is basically that we have someone come in, whoever it may be. We like to have different facilitators and people who come and share. And they share a little bit of wisdom, and then we have a sacred practice. And so that was kind of born out of this idea that people were seeming really to want to have some type of experiential thing because there's a lot of disconnect going on. And so that started a few years ago, even before COVID. So we're excited to continue this every week. So thank you so much to everyone who's here and everyone who's online. We appreciate it. We also appreciate your loving donations. We have a little donation thing at the over at the entrance. And you can do your donations here, or you can do it live on, it's called Text to Give. Do you have that up, Jeff? Okay, so he's got that number up there. I can't remember what it is right now. So you'll see it on your screen. Of course, we really appreciate your love and support. We're very grateful for how our beautiful spirits community has been able to really get through this last year or so with everyone's loving generosity. We also encourage the donations because we give a portion of the money to the people who are facilitating. So we really appreciate that, and so do they, and so do I when I do it. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much. We always say in Science of Mind in our teaching that as we give, so shall we receive. I mean, you've all heard that, right? It's called the law of reciprocity. So we just ask that you give from the level that you're receiving. So thank you. So let's see. I got next week we have the fabulous one and only Dancing with the Harmony, Dancing with What It Is. With What Is, and that's by Jeff Kingfisher. He's our sound. If you haven't met Jeff before. He's our sound guy and an amazing genius, musician, composer, writer, sound master. He understands. You want to share anything? Anything else? He really just understands how music works. He understands the science of sounds and vibration and what else? Anything else you want to share on that?
That'll do it.
Yeah. Okay.
What I'll be talking about is consonance and dissonance in music and in life and how to navigate them. There's some nice hints that come back and forth between those.
And the evening's going to close with a musical casting, which is quite amazing. It's a casting. He also created this whole system. It's like it's an oracle casting. It's not a reading. It's a casting because Jeff does the casting, opens it up, and he tells you what it means, and you get to decide what it means to you. He's not trying to tell anyone, what it means. So it's really, I actually went to his studio in Palm Desert just this week and had a wonderful session and a sound healing session in his new studio in Palm Desert. And you can find that on our website or on his website at which one do you want me to use? The
Philharmonic.com.
Phila-Musica?
No, the Seventh Harmonica Studio.
Oh, Seventh Harmonica. Okay, I don't have that one on here. Seventh Harmonica, or I have www.musoracle.
That'll work.
MUZORACLE.com. And so I did one. It was amazing. It was very insightful for me. I really needed to hear, and the way that he brings the sounds and the music together, it was a very healing experience. Brought me a lot of clarity with some stuff that's going on in my own life. So thank you, Jeff. Yeah. Was that yesterday? That seemed like a long time ago. It's been a long day. Anyway, so this next, and then the following week we have Peter Bedard, and he's a practitioner here at our center. He's teaching on it's called Lessons of Pain, and it's about embracing pain, understanding pain, actually even blessing it, having understanding, communing with the pain. And so he also does, in his own part of his practice, is he helps people with pain management in that way. He has gone through his own experience of challenge in his own life from this kind of horrific accident where he was hit on a bike and had to go through all the healing that came along with that, and then other things that, went along with that. So he wrote a book called The Convergence Healing. And so we're looking forward to having Peter in a couple weeks. So he'll be the third Wednesday. The fourth Wednesday of this month, we actually have 5 Wednesdays this month. The fourth Wednesday is myself and Kitty Christensen. And we're doing Compassion to Action, environmental activism from a place of oneness. And so we're looking to do that. We're going to do a little presentation and kind of, we kind of all know what's going on. And like Kitty said, we saw the UN report recently, and it's kind of horrifying when you see, But what can we do? And we can be very proactive in how we approach it. Kitty actually does something in our newsletter each month for the Climate Reality Project, Riverside County. She does the thing called Just One Thing. And every month we get something that we can do, that we could be helpful, that is tangible. So we're doing that the fourth Wednesday. Really come. We really want to. Our community is all about. We actually are the. Our mission for the Centers for Spiritual Living at large is a world that works for everyone. And if our environment is not that, then I don't know what else is. So we'd love for everyone to come and participate in that and be a wonderful presentation. And of course, the last Wednesday is going to be Reverend Eunice. Actually, she's going to be doing something called Accessing the Wonderful Wizard Within. And she's going to you can bring your own cards. We're going to have all these different kinds of cards, and so we're going to pick cards and then do our own little readings, and it'll be fun. It's more of a fun thing, so that's the last Wednesday. So, enough with the announcements. So let's do a little centering practice and get settled and centered, and then we'll invite Emmanuel up. So let's just take a few conscious breaths right now. Just noticing our own body breathing. It's always nice to take a few nice full breaths. We tend to kind of breathe kind of shallow. I'm just feeling this breath that has been breathing us since the day we were born. This life force, prana energy that's breathing us right now. We give ourselves permission to stop everything and to be here now, in this moment, sitting in this spot, wherever you find yourself. Breathing this breath. And let everything go. Anything at all that might be bothering you, anything that has been bothering you, anything that's just busy on your mind, we're just going to let it all go. Just for now. Just for this evening, we're going to give ourselves this time of respite. Just imagine if anything happens to be bothering you, just imagine setting it outside the building for now. Or wherever you are. As we create a sacred space, a circle, a sacred circle, a safe place, where we open up our mind, our heart, our soul to receive now. In this place of receptivity, we are open to receive. We know that each one who is here, wherever you are, joining, is here on purpose. And that our soul will hear exactly what it needs to hear for our own growth, for our own evolution, for our own soul journey. So we throw the doors wide open to the infinite possibilities. As we open up our minds and our hearts to receive, we know that each one of us is divinely guided, and that we create and co-create this divine environment this evening. I know that Emmanuel is in perfect alignment with this creative power and source, this divine presence. It is working in him, as him, and through him. And shows up in beautiful ways this evening for all of us as he shares his wisdom and his sacred practices and his knowledge and his years of practice. It is in this space that we allow now this divine presence to have its way this evening, to allow everything to come together in unexpected ways so that we know that it came from God. And so we release this now, knowing it is already done in mind. We give thanks in advance, knowing that we're all here, creating and co-creating this beautiful sacred space together, on purpose. With a deep sense of surrender now, we let it go. With a great sense of expectancy and openness and receptivity, we say together, and so it is. Bring our attention back now. Just taking a few conscious breaths to bring our attention back to the room, back to this space. And I'm going to invite Emmanuel up to share. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Snyder, and I am a Reiki master. I also do psychic readings, have got into leading guided meditations and facilitating spiritual retreats. And actually, my first spiritual retreat in Sedona, I was able to hire Mark to do an incredible sound journey at a beautiful space. And I want to say it's an honor to be here. He kind of asked me on the fly, and I lived in LA for 13 years, and I would go to Agape Spiritual Center, which is Science of Mind. And I had incredible experiences there. The music and the performances and the meditations were like musically interluded, and 20 minutes of silence with 400 or 500 people that are all meditating and practitioners holding the space around the sides. It was incredible. So I had some real visions and things that happened in that space. So Science of Mind is very familiar to me. I just haven't done, other than some sound journeys, I haven't done as much here with this community. So I just wanted to, hopefully I'll connect with more of you and see what opportunities we can help each other with. Because I think spirit and energy work and all those things, it's all about uplifting each other and empowering each other, So, yeah, where do I go? Okay, so,
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. So, a little bit about me, and then I'll just give you a little bit of my background, and then I want to go into, I kind of want to cover what Reiki is, where it came from, but I also want to just touch on the similarities with other energy work and healing modalities, and where we all kind of support each other. And there's a tie-in, I think there's harmony with Western and Eastern medicine. So there's a lot more doctors and nurses that are asking about and wanting and interested in Reiki and energy and all that stuff. So I was born in Kansas, in a small town that's between Kansas City and Wichita, essentially. It was the Bible Belt, and it was a little bit conservative. I always saw things that other people did not see. But at that time, I would not speak about it because I was afraid I'd be put on medication or so I spent a lot of my life just, seeing things, but going, oh, that didn't happen, or oh, I just know it happened, or whatever. I did sports and athletics and on scholarship. Had a lot of things just not follow through, so I had issues with self-esteem, and I managed to find my way to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and got a little bit wilder and had my experience with addiction, and then I got sober. And the great thing about that is there are foundations in recovery that are wonderful principles that anyone could apply in their life, how to do an inventory of your life, do you owe amends, how to be of service, how to help others. Like, that stuff really got me on a solid foundation, on. But the thing is, with those programs, it's to help you find your spiritual practice. So what is spirituality, and what is a higher power that's loving, and all that stuff. And so, like I said, I went to Agape Spiritual Center, and then I was doing data entry for a friend, and he had a deck of angel cards, and I had always believed in angels, and he said, okay, it's tradition to gift that to someone, and so they gifted it to me. I started reading for myself and realizing there was patterns, and then I started seeing 1111, 911, 333, like all these things on digital like clocks, like or on the treadmill or on the phone or on the car, and it was always when I was thinking positive, and it was always when I had that good thought and there was an affirmation, and so it happened rather quickly. I was very fortunate. I met a guy that does astrology. He also does science of mind. He's got a dream dictionary. He's a really great guy. Well, he got me connected to a healer circle where someone would present their work similar to what we're doing, and then it was a question answer, and then a network afterwards, like a potluck network. And I met an interim spiritual teacher, and then I met the woman who was amazing that taught me how to do my psychic readings. And then I had a free Reiki session, and I saw my own past life as a Viking warrior with a sword and the boat and the whole thing. And so I was like, I've got to learn this practice too. So I started my sole proprietorship, my Emmanuel Spiritual Healing. And in 2012, I got certified in both the psychic readings and Reiki Reiki levels 1 and 2. And I've been practicing since then, and I've been teaching I got my Reiki master about 4 years ago, and I've been teaching for 3 years solid. Yeah, so it's been 9 years of practice.
I heard you're teaching a master's class next week or two.
Yes, and I have my first Reiki Master teacher student, which I'm very excited about. And I'll go into what how Reiki works and how and what are attunements and like all that stuff. Hoping not going too fast. Wasn't sure how much time I have. Okay, so Reiki is and a lot of people think a lot of people don't have trouble saying it at first. It's like R-E-I-K-I, so Rei and Ki. And Rei is like life force, the universe, Rei is like universal energy. Ki is like our chi or life force energy. So it's the combination of universal and our energy. And basically, a little bit of what I've kind of learned, and this is from my opinion and from my experience, but I believe that we're kind of on human 6.0 or 9.0. We've had little upgrades, and we've kind of have our design, but within our DNA, within who we are, we have the ability to channel energy. We have the ability to hear other people sometimes, to empathically feel feelings. Like we have these gifts, and some people have them a little stronger than others. But our society tells us that we're not powerful, that that these things aren't real, and all this stuff. So when I got into teaching, it's kind of like the unlearning, the things that we thought we knew, and I don't know. That's why children are so open and wonderful, because they see fairies, they see spirits who are there, they see things and they interact with them, and because they haven't been changed to tell them that they're not real. And animals, of course, are attuned with what's going on. So, but with the Reiki practice, essentially, I had a great Reiki master who was my first teacher. She was amazing, and she chose an author who's a Reiki master who is her name is Diane Feinstein, and she is kind of like, she writes like a feminist, She puts she before he, and she was very. I love how she does her writing, and she basically worked with some channels, and so this is kind of what's channeled, but we believe that this healing modality was brought to humanity a long time ago, and the ancient Tibetans actually taught their kids level 1 and level 2 in their schooling. So everyone was taught to not only do their self-healing, but work on others. And then people who wanted to be a master and teach, they could have that a part of their education. But it was in ancient China, it was also in ancient Japan, but a lot of it was verbal, there's another way to say that, oral tradition. Sorry, a lot of it was oral tradition, and it was very secretive, and they didn't share that knowledge. And Usui, Hakayo Usui, is the main founder or rediscoverer of Reiki, and he started in Japan and getting some of this ancient knowledge, and then he set everything up, and then he tuned some masters, and then one of his 3 masters was the first woman, and she went to Hawaii and added some of the Hawaiian tradition to that, and then she was the main Nakata. Her name's a little challenging. She actually brought it to the States, and so it kind of made a journey of Japan, Hawaii, the States, and very international. And just as a side note, they used to charge $10,000 to get your Reiki master in the early periods, even in the 80s. It's a lot different now. But so the attunement. So if anyone has heard anything about Reiki, but there's what's called an attunement, and so that is the Reiki master. So you have levels. You have levels 1, level 2, and then Reiki master. They say 3, but 3 is really master. And so an attunement is essentially the student in a chair, the Reiki master behind, calling in all the masters of before, all spirit guides and angels, everyone to draw that energy through. And it's asking permission to be in their energy field, essentially opening up chakras and tracing ancient symbols and letting them incorporate into the crown, into the hands, and the way I was taught and channeled was into the feet as well. There's a lot of the standardized, like the International Center for Reiki Healing here, some of that documentation is only head and hands. But when I did my first class and my first attunements, this thing is challenging. Okay. When I did my first class and first students, they directly told me, don't forget their feet. So crown, heads, feet. It's like, I want to say I guess I'm never looking at the camera. I want to say it's like taking a golden skeleton key and just putting it in and turning on your gifts. So I believe it's already, like, people have asked me, like, well, can anyone do Reiki? And from my experience, yes. If you're open to, if you're seeking, if it's coming, if you're seeing it around, you're on your spiritual awakening, you're on your spiritual path, then it's like ready, like things are coming to you. So the more open you are to it, the more you'll receive it and integrate it and activate. So in a class, like, I love doing 2-day classes, but levels 1, levels 2, even master you could do in a full day, but definitely with master I want to spend a little bit more time. But I will do a sacred opener, very much like Mark would do, and then I'll do some reading of text, and then I'll do the first attunement, and then once everyone has their first attunement, then I'll have people practice, and we'll trace the basic symbols in our hands, and then we'll put it at our sacral chakra. If everyone knows what the chakras are, it's energy centers in the body, but sacral and heart chakra, and you feel the energy, and then you let your hands go to where you feel you need healing. And actually, that's part of, after we do some of sharing things, I want to individually have people come up and temporarily turn on your hands, and then together I'll guide us to do a little bit of self-healing. So we'll get a little snippet of kind of what you get during a class or during a training.
So when you say turn on your hands, you turn the energy on?
Yes. Okay, so the ancient symbols, they are Japanese, but they just, to kind of simplify it, there's this Shoku Rei is one of the main symbols, and you can see this online or look. It's not as secretive as that used to be anymore, but it's a symbol that means creator is, or you could say God is, but I like to keep it open for people. So creator is, and then the symbol that goes the other way is power is on, like turning on a light switch. And so those are the basic ones that you work with. And I've actually already had some experience with temporarily turning on hands at the retreat, and it went really well. So, but essentially it's what you might feel is a little tingle. Sometimes people have said they feel heat. And if you don't feel anything, that's okay. Just allow the energy to stay with you, and you can do self-healing without any symbols or, any of it. This is just kind of a extra boost from someone who does have experience and can channel to share. So, so in a class or in a training, I would do at minimum the attunement like 3 times. And if I split it up between 2 days, I would do it 4 times to make sure everything is fully integrated, everyone is fully practiced. Some Reiki masters out there only do it once, which I think is not enough. But there is a basics of what should be taught, and then Reiki masters can specialize and do stuff. Like I include how to charge crystals with energy at level 1. At level 2, I teach you how to use a grid and manifest. I include more things in my trainings, but the basics is the attunements, the knowledge, the practice. So, we had one question. Do we have any questions so far? Okay. Channeling energy. Okay, so I kind of loosely say channeling energy. Some people, when you say channeling, think about like a medium or a psychic that's channeling a spirit or something coming through them. I learned through my experience that I have some mediumship skills or gifts, but they're very much related to just expressing love or letting them know they're there, or they're very, very simple. I don't do a dialogue back and forth, and I definitely don't have, an entity like specifically coming through me, type thing. When channeling energy, I was trained, and this is how I always do, is like basically seeing like you could say a golden veil of light, or a pyramid of light, or a bubble of light, but just a little bit of light protection, and you're channeling energy. You're channeling energy from here, like from here down. So it's there's misinformation. I don't know if everybody have seen, but online there's some people that have talked bad about Reiki, saying we take on other people's energies, or or do something. But if you are trained properly as a healer, you never take on anyone's energy. You don't put energy in it. The process is generally in a session, someone is on a Reiki table on their back, fully clothed. We put some crystals and stones underneath and some music, and do a little turn on their hands, do a little clearing of the space with the symbols, and invite in spirit guides and angels. But I think what's really fun about a Reiki session is I ask the clients to verbalize their healing intentions or goals. So if you know something in your body that needs to be healed, you can express that. And then for goals for the future, more open-ended requests are really good. Like, I would like this new career to develop. I would like to travel to some special place in the world. If you haven't met your soulmate, I'd like to meet my soulmate, or I'd like our relationship to grow. Basically, when you verbalize that on the table with the right energy, not only is your body remove and clear things, but you align your energy with that, what you want to manifest. And you're clear with your intention to the universe that you're bringing these things. So sometimes people don't always associate that after they've had a Reiki session, but in a few days they run into someone that they've been trying to get a hold of, just by happenstance. They see something online that they've been looking for, and they all of a sudden find it. So you attract the things, because it's changed your vibration. What else? So I kind of said I was going to talk in general too about other modalities. There's healing light touch, which is very similar. There's they kind of have a similar practice, but sometimes other modalities are more specific, like they only do certain locations. When I have a client on the table, I have a pattern that I was taught to start at the left leg, and then go the right leg, left arm, right arm, flush the organs, work on some balance, and then do the crown and some head positions at the end. Some people were trained to go from the head to the foot. So there are different ways of training, but and some Reiki masters will go different places. I like to, especially if someone's new, it's kind of like a full body experience. And then during a session, I will see, the body will twitch and release, because we have anger, fear, frustration that we store in the body. So sometimes we think you have an injury or something's wrong. It's just because we're holding on to something and subconsciously, and you don't realize. So during a session, your body wants to release things. So sometimes it'll twitch, or move, or release, and that's just because that's what your body needs to get rid of. So sometimes as a practitioner, I may get a message in regards to that, or they might be showing me, depending, past life things. Even if you don't believe in reincarnation, sometimes there's things that are shown that looks like it's a different time. And so I just try and keep it open and say, this is what I saw, and it healed. Childhood traumas, sometimes we'll see that and we'll see it heal. Basically, we'll be getting visions of things throughout a session, and once we kind of close the session, I ask what they experienced and feel first, and then I'll share what's been channeled. And when you start out level 1 and 2, you don't always see as much. As you build your practice, and you often see more. But I've seen some very gifted people that didn't realize they were gifted, that have see different things right away. And even during the attunement process, it's very sacred. It's beautiful. Like when I'm attuning someone, it's like having all this ancient, incredible energy come through you, and you get to see these symbols sort of open and activate, and I'll get messages about their spiritual path and all kinds of stuff. And so it's almost like having a spiritual high or buzzing when you're in that process. And it's really, really cool. Let's see. So that's channeling energy. Oh, and so I do want to honor, when we talk about energy work, there are people who do have very specific mediumship skills, and like a friend of mine, Patrick, who's at Crystal Fantasies, it's a lineage of mediums, and they do have dialogue, and they do other things. That's just, I think I'm really good about saying where my gifts are, and if they want something specific, I'll say, actually, why don't you go to Patrick? They do a really good job at this, or there are people that specialize in past life regression, and can go in very specifically and find them information. So in both of my practices in Reiki and when I do readings, my guides are usually showing me where you're the most stuck. Like what is most difficult, what can we heal right now? And then the difference when I do a reading is it's, instead of being on a table and getting to fully relax and kind of go out of body if you want to, or however it feels, in a reading, my eyes are closed, I'm still communicating with the guides, but it's interactive. I'll say, this is what I'm seeing. Maybe someone's draining too much of your energy, we could cut cords and shift that dynamic. If it's a childhood trauma, I'll say, what happened when you were, I'm guessing the age 7, because they'll show me a picture of them as a younger person, and we find out what happened, and we see if we can heal it. And I always ask permission. That's why it's just interactive. Like, this is what I'm seeing, and we ask permission to heal it. And then if you have questions about things you're considering for the future, since we're in communication with your guides, we can see what comes. But it's not, I'm very careful to say it's not telling the future, because in my experience, the future is always in flux. And now there are card readers and tarot readers and stuff that will try and give you 6 months out. And I think I don't try and discount that, because I have worked with readers that do give some good insights. But I think we have free will, and there's always kinds of situations that could change. So I tend to go from past to present, and then if there's a future opportunity, I say, this is a future opportunity. How does that sound? Would you like to manifest that? And then it's funny. I got my certifications in LA, and they're a little bit more Sue happy in LA. So I have a Reiki waiver form that it's good to know, and I include it in class. Basically, there's a state ordinance that defines what Reiki is and what Reiki is not. And so the thing that we have to be careful about, and that we say, is that we're not medical professionals. We don't prescribe medicine. We don't diagnose. We just share and hold space, and do the healing, share the healing experience. Just like Mark with Sound Baths would say, it's a sound experience. Everyone is having it together. So I think sometimes when people have a certain amount of success, or when they teach, or when they do stuff, sometimes there's always a balance of ego. It's not, you are the channel, you're showing up, but people have asked me, how did you know that? And I was like, I didn't know that, your guides are showing me. It just came through in this process. So I think it's, if there's any teacher or person talking about practices that kind of sounds like they know it all or know too much, I think that's where I get kind of a warning. It's like, we should always be teachable. We should always be willing to open and learn some new information.
Could you share, the last time I had a session with you, you did the cutting, you cut some cords.
Ah, okay.
And it was very helpful for me, because I didn't know. I had a couple people that I'll let you explain how it works, but a couple people that I needed to do that with, and it was very helpful. So,
okay.
if you don't mind.
So, oh yeah, no, cutting cords is actually, there's Native American tradition to it, and all kinds of stuff. But when I have a client in front of me, I'm doing a reading, eyes closed. I do play a little music that kind of helps us tune in. But what I'll see is I'll see a dark cord going to, and I might see an image, or I might see something. Don't necessarily know all of what it is, or sometimes people are nervous, and I have to get them we ask a few questions, and we get them to open up and what's going on, and then I see it's revealed. But if people can drain our energy, it could be family members, it could be coworkers, it could be a number of different reasons. But it's like seeing sort of a dark cord that goes to one of the chakras, or you see where it's kind of draining their energy. And so I work with different spirit guides, and sometimes the archangels. And even if you don't believe in angels or archangels, it's a visual of someone that is there that's ethereal, that will show up to do the work. So you see it and you identify it, and then you go, okay, they're here, and now is it okay to cut the cord? And so if you give permission, the cord is cut by the divine being, And then light is blasted to their higher self, saying you can no longer be in their energy or drain their energy. So it actually is kind of a blessing and a lesson for the person that's been draining your energy. And so then I kind of identify where it was draining your energy, and we kind of put a light bandage where that was. But experiences that have been really powerful, I did a sample reading for a friend of mine when I was up in Idlewild, which is where I got my Reiki master. And she had a boss that was like the micromanager that was on her for sales like every 20 minutes, that was always harassing her and always doing that. And we cut the cord with him, and all of a sudden his focus shifted, and he let her be and let her do her work. And now he kind of went on to someone else and kind of did stuff, but it was so effective that she actually started booking sessions with me, and then she became a student, and she's did level 1 and level 2, and is amazing. But it's even when it's someone who's passed that feels unresolved, and there's shame, or I should have done more, or how could they have done that to me? I'm not ready to forgive them. That can be a very deep cord that is cut, if they're willing to do that. And
If the person who's getting it is willing to.
yeah, not the spirit who's passed. If the person is willing to let go and forgive that, we can cut the cord.
I like the way you remember when we were doing that process, you asked permission, because you kind of worked up to it, and then you said, okay, once you said that everything was in alignment, you asked me, is it okay now to cut the cord?
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, some people are also afraid too, like especially if they had a horrendous breakup situation, and they still feel like they're an eternal flame, or there's something, will I ever get back with them? Will this, and what I try and, share with them on that is, at a soul conscious level, our soul mates, which could be friends, lovers, family, could this circle of people, you're still going to have that connection, but the part that's dysfunctional, that's draining your energy, that's really hurting you, we've got to heal that and clear that part. And so when it gives some separation and you have more of your own energy, you work on yourself, that gives the other party the opportunity to work on themselves and maybe come around, and then if you want to re-engage, you're both healthier people and you can have that connection. And it's kind of very synonymous with when I went to treatment and I was in recovery. They talked about relationships, and they said people that are early in recovery that try and be partners, they're not healthy, so they're like leaning on each other, and when one falls, the other one falls too. And but healthy relationships generally have a solid foundation, they're friends, they're family, and then it's like merging together. And so then it's like really strong. So it's I also have to warn people when we cut cords too, is we hold some of that frustration and pain and anger in our body. So sometimes like they'll feel like they had a cold or nasal drain, or sometimes even diarrhea. It's kind of a really strong reaction, but if that happens, I let them know and just go, you didn't have food poisoning, you don't have influenza, it's the fact that we cut these cords and it was very deep, and your body wants to get rid of that junk. Your body wants to get rid of what's there. So, I tell them, that, you just, if you're a good practitioner and you just say this could happen, for the next few days you're going to be a touch more emotional. I tend to watch a lot of sci-fi and superhero things, and if I'm crying or tearing up during one of my regular action shows, then I know for sure that something's clearing. And so then I have my stuffed animal and tissues and write it out. Because we get all the wrong messages in society that crying is weak and all that stuff. But what I try and tell people is that's the true strength, is feeling the emotion, walking through it, letting yourself do that, because it's like we need the rain for the spring flowers, for the rainbow, the rainbow, the sun to come out and the rainbow, arrives. It's when it's not dealt with, when it's stuffed emotions, when that's where all the anxiety and all that stuff comes from. But and it's funny, on the past, I actually, when I started, I was kind of like scientifically critical. Like I would go, oh, someone would tell me something and I would go, oh, okay, well that's nice. And then I wouldn't, I would keep questioning and stuff. So I had 6 random people at these events tell me that I was an Egyptian priest in a past life, and I was like, oh, that's nice, but or oh, thank you, like I didn't believe it. And then when I got to my spiritual teacher that taught me the readings practice, and we healed, she saw the whole life, she told me all the details, and she healed something very traumatic that happened. I was like, okay, so I had to see it for myself. I had to kind of feel into that. And so what I try and tell people is, if I see something that's a past life and you don't necessarily believe it, if something shows up, even if it was a metaphor, would you like to heal it? If it shows up and it seems unresolved, why don't we take care of it anyway? So, because I grew up in a religion that was somewhat open, but then very closed off in other ways. Like, it was the Baha'i faith. I don't know if you guys heard of that, but they claim equality of men and women, compulsory education, elimination of all prejudice, harmony of science and religion, but then when it came to sexuality, there was a conservative grandson in the faith that said if you acted out on homosexuality, you could have your rights taken away to go to functions, and you're not a part of the faith. And so I went on pilgrimage to Israel. I was involved in youth retreats. I heard Persians chanting prayers. We sang songs in Swahili and all different kinds of stuff, and I really liked that. But then when it came to learning about my sexuality, then I felt like I wasn't worthy of saying prayers. I went through a very dark period. So I think religions have some good aspects, some good practices, but I really think there's a huge difference between sexuality, spirituality, which is sexuality as well, but spirituality and religion. So I think, and sometimes they meet, but spirituality is much more open. And that's really what saved me. And I think what I love about this practice is it is never the same with any one client. I always see something different. I can't do this type of work and then go to a desk job or go to something, because it's there's basic things that I know I will generally see, but there's stuff that blows me away, like I'm in a movie while I'm doing practice. Like things that I never thought I would feel or see. And then it's just when someone actually resonates with something, or they really felt it, or I saw colors, what happened? Like, or they felt their grandmother, or, like that has passed, when they all of a sudden see that there's more than what we think of as reality, then it's like, that you see that light bulb turn on for them, and oh, there's much more. I don't know. I just think it's really, really cool. I see heads nodding and smiles. Okay. Let's see, how are we doing on time? So how long do we go?
We should go to 7:30 or 7:45, somewhere between 7:30 and 7:45.
7:30, 7:45, okay. Sorry, this is not professional, even though it's on YouTube here. So, okay, so. Okay, well, so I did bring I wanted to talk just a little bit about crystals and precious stones and how they can be incorporated in healing or just your own practice. Let's see, I know he can zoom in. So I think he can zoom in with the camera. Okay, so this is a clear quartz. And it's, if you can see the little squigglies inside, this is called a phantom. But when I was called to this, or when I picked it out, it told me it was a portal key for opening portals. So, and this sounds, the funny story about that crystals talk and have consciousness. I got some inheritance money from my dad at one point, and I went to Sedona and got to go in this crystal shop. And I was shopping around, and one of the crystals said, "I'm coming home with you." And like I heard a voice, and I was like, "Oh God, what's happening? what is going on?" And then okay, and I picked it up and I sat it on the pillow, and then like as soon as that door opened, then it was like, "I'm for Misty, and I'm for Patrick," and like they just all like start communicating. I was like, okay. So, and it's not necessarily words or English. It's just like that sense of knowing, so the quartz crystal has a vibration on the scientific side of 783 megahertz. So humans, we vibrate around 70 to 90, and so this vibrates so high that it's close to being a liquid. It's like very close between liquid and solid. And so generally they will enhance your energy or enhance like the experience that you have. And so if there was one crystal to get to start, a quartz crystal of any size is good. So does that make sense? So I brought that one. And then, I don't know if these are too small. So this purple is amethyst, okay? And amethyst they have generally traits that they're good at and some more specialized. So amethyst, these purple stones are good for healing. Like very specifically, like if my throat's a little sore, you lay down, play some soft music, and you can let it actually channel your energy and heal. Or hold them in your hands while you try and meditate. Any way that you can do that, these are good. Amethysts are great. I brought some rose quartz, which are generally pink. Now, what I love about, now some people like raw pieces. Raw pieces are great too. I just like that this is shaped in a heart, because then you kind of visualize that you're healing your heart. And so I will lay down and actively just feel the energy and feel it heat up, and it's like having a glow rock, like a hot rock. So it's, but rose quartz is generally for healing your heart, especially after some type of transition or some types of loss. This is a quartz cluster, so sometimes they're in clusters. This is like to me, it looks like a little city of Atlantis that goes around. Now this blue lapis, this lapis stone actually has, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a metallic hematite core. Probably hard to see from far away. But lapis with the blue is throat chakra. So if you're not speaking your truth or not saying what you need, stuff like that, it's good to work with this stone and have it with you. And then the last one I brought, has anyone heard of organites? Okay, so organites, this is a plastic resin, but inside there are crystals, and there's these copper beads and a gold leaf. I don't know if you guys can see that. So the organite basically needs to have copper, and it needs to have metal coils, and so there's pyrite in here, there's amethyst, and there's a Brazilian quartz. Basically, organites can help clear energy. We pick up positive ions from like cell phones, from electronics, from TV, from all kinds of stuff. If you have an organite, you can hold on to it and clear, but you can set it near the computer or near the TV or near where your phone charges, and it'll keep you from absorbing so much of the energy. And if they're a little specialized like this one is, I always put this under the table so it helps it helps in the process of clearing the body and doing stuff. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so does anyone have any more questions?
I have a question.
Oh, yeah.
I have an organite on
Yeah.
my desk at work. I talk on the phone a lot.
Yeah.
I talk to people that are upset, and I just always think that it's gonna help me clear the energy that I'm kind of absorbing. I don't know if it works.
It does.
Does it?
It does, yeah.
Because I do have one on my desk. It's not that big, but I.
Oh, any size is good. I just.
I didn't know if that's just something I made up in my head or if that actually was supposed to work, but it's the same color, but I just kind of like to, I tend to want to absorb the emotions of other people, especially if I can't help them as much as I would like to, and it makes me feel kind of dragged down, so.
Well, when you're pulled to that, you're definitely naturally empathic. So you have that tendency to want to take on that energy, and this helps protect yourself and helps clear it. Now I have like a little organite necklace that has like the copper in it, that if I know I'm going to be around a lot of energy that I might pick up, I'll definitely wear that. And like even this is crystals and is malachite underneath, so it actually protects and clears. But organites are great. So, and Crystal Fancy has several of them downtown, so I'll give her a little plug. Any other questions? Yeah.
Do you clean them?
Oh yeah. So basically, you guys have heard of sage, right? Most people know about sage. Palo Santos is a wood that's blessed by monks. It's very good with clearing, and it doesn't leave that cloud of smoke that's very like, stuff like that. So after a session, I usually clear the stones. And even though people say you can also charge crystals, but you don't have to do it by the blue wolf moon special thing. You can put them in the sun for a little while as long as they're more clear. But you can charge them by moonlight, and you can clear them with sage or actually with the crystals you can clear them with water. Some of the precious stones you got to be careful because it'll break them apart. But yeah, definitely clear them. Any more questions? Okay, so I think we have a little bit of time left. So what I was going to do is I'm going to turn on the music, so we'll relax. If you put your hands out, like just something like this, I'm going to temporarily turn on the cymbals in your hands, and then I'll go through that process like I was saying before of guiding us where to put our hands, and then give us a little bit of time to see and sense where we need some healing. Does that sound good? Okay. That's my speaker. So. Okay. Start over here. Okay, now that you should feel some energy in your hands and maybe some heat, I invite you to take whichever one feels right, but I invite you to take one of your hands. I usually put my left hand at my belly button, which is your sacral chakra, and right hand in the middle of your chest, which is your heart chakra. And it's kind of works better if you close your eyes and just kind of be open to the feeling. So we're kind of just feeling where your energy is at, and feeling the energy moving throughout your body. Let's take a deep breath in and exhale. So let's kind of stay with this energy, and when you feel ready, just let your hands kind of slowly migrate to anywhere in your body where you feel like you could use some healing. I often will let my hands go up to my throat, kind of open up my throat chakra. But definitely, if you have any type of sensation somewhere that you feel, but just let your hands go. We'll just take a few moments and we'll let our hands go where we could use some healing. And just kind of let your hands be steady when you find the spot. Just let them be there. They can hover, if you want, it can hover above, but it's easier just to let your hands rest on your skin. It is, or on your shirt or pants. It is sacred touch. Reiki can be done above the body, but there's something very beautiful about the energy and the touch. And right now we're in the self-healing and self-love. And just make sure you go with the flow. Don't try and experience anything too much. Just see what happens. Just kind of allow that love and that energy and that light to flow through you. Our guides, our spirit guides, the universe is always here for love. And they always want to help. And we're just inviting that energy in and helping heal ourselves, give ourselves some love and some energy. Okay, I'm going to slowly kind of bring us back into our body. Kind of let yourself take a few deep breaths. When you're ready, when you feel a little bit more grounded, feel free to open your eyes, stretch a little, move around. And then I would love to hear a little feedback before we're done and see what, what anyone experienced or what you guys experienced.
Did you have any oil or anything on your hand when you were doing
Oh, I have a.
essential oil or anything?
I didn't have essential oil, but I have a cocoa lotion. I have like a little cocoa radiant thing that I put on my hands. Did it feel like?
It was definitely tingly, you know, you could feel that,
That's the energy.
yeah.
That's the symbol and the energy.
So that goes through your fingers into,
Yeah, so it's the energy is in the ether, and so the symbols direct the energy, and so when I trace the symbol, it does go into your hand, but it's an activation of what you already have. So it's like it's essentially it is like turning on that light switch, like oh, and here you go, and so it's. Like today, it's a temporary. If you do a formal attunement, that is always active. So, but if you got any special gifts just from the little exposure to it, then those are your gifts. They will be there. So,
and
the
the symbols?
symbols that I used, were the Shoku rays, the one that I said God is or Creator is, and power is on. And the one that I did a little circle, like I started in the middle and went out, that is the master symbol. Yeah, I kind of started in the center and I kind of circled out. It's a version of the master symbol, and it also to me has been channeled that it's our galaxy and 3 little shortcuts into the center. So it basically, the symbols were there. The reason I did the master symbol is kind of activate your gifts. So it's kind of so I did 3 in each hand, and then I did a little activator symbol behind each of you. So I just wanted to make sure that you could feel the energy and feel the activation. Did anyone else feel tingly or heat or?
I had a lot of heat in my hands, and then my forehead was cool.
Oh yeah, it can be cool too. Yes, for sure.
I felt the heat in my hands. I actually kind of felt like I had like almost like flames, but I've been one of those people that always have like a really active imagination. Sometimes when I meditate, I haven't done it. I'll go off like I'll feel like I'm floating in space. Like
Yes,
when Mark plays
and you are floating in
the,
space.
the symbols. I'm kind of that kind of person. Maybe I'm weird, but I did definitely have that.
When we go into energy work, our left brain is our analytical, our scientific, side. When we go into energy work, it's our right brain. So it's metaphors and symbols. So if you are creatively seeing something, who's to tell you that's not real? I think one of my favorite Harry Potter lines is when he has to die in the last one, and he talks to Dumbledore before he takes the train to die or to come back. And he goes, Dumbledore, is this real or is it all in my head? And he basically says, who's to say this isn't real? And I think that's like a universal message is, we know that there's, multi-universes, we know there's multi-dimensions. Who's to say that when we dream we didn't really go somewhere? Who's to say that in vision when they take me to another planet and a temple and do all kinds of stuff that's not real? So that's the part where we learn to let go and not judge what we see, and you be kind to yourself. And if you had flames, then all right. I love when someone sees something more and does that and has that. You have that witness with you of knowing that something real. Just like when you if you see a UFO or you see something, you go, did you see that? Did you experience that? It's having that acknowledgement, so it's not just imagining. You really felt that experience.
So while Mark was doing a meditation, I already started vibrating.
Good.
And this has been going on for a few days.
Yeah.
But when you did your thing, it did something with my heart. Like I started to just
Oh. open and more.
tears, like,
Oh,
but yeah, it started at the very beginning and it just kept, this has been going on for a few days, but not the emotion. When you did that, it was just like this beautiful thing that, I
oh.
don't know what that was, but
It's an opening. You had already initiated it. You had already started it. The symbols just gave you that permission and that space to open up and go further. So.
I had a very similar experience. Yeah, I wanted to just cry. I felt, when I was over my heart, I just felt so much motherly love, and I really felt
Mhm.
the sensation of just my mother who's passed.
Yeah.
Just that unconditional, just motherly love, and I was thinking, wow, I just can't believe I can access this so easily, you know?
One thing that's really cool in the experience that I've had is to help understand that the difference between this life and the next life or other dimensions is more like just a frequency, like you're turning a radio or a dial. And so if you have a love connection or a friend that you really loved or family member that you really loved, when you talk about them, when you think about them, or even talk to them, they can sense that and feel that, and they will show up in different ways. So, example, I did end-of-life care for mom and dad before I moved here, and the first Father's Day that I couldn't call him, I was watching TV in my brand new apartment with all new things, and the light went completely off and then came completely back on, and I go, "Oh, hi, Dad, happy Father's Day." Because I'm accustomed to that, I know that they can somewhat take form or somewhat manipulate electricity or stuff like that. You know, those things are real and they happen. So if you felt her, she's right with you. You know, and you can access that anytime that you want. So. Okay.
Did you feel, different things in us as you?
Yeah, I mean, I sense if I didn't have enough time to really tune in, but I heard we do these little, and I do this too when someone works on me, but we go, oh, we make little ooh, when I worked on her, she goes uh-huh, I heard her make little noises, and so I also hover over the hands to make sure I feel energy coming through. So and then that little activation behind the back, I just kind of check, and then I move on. So I did sense a little, but I'd have to do a private session and really call your guides in, and I'd see more. And that's the thing too, is when you're intuitive and people go, can you, people that aren't familiar with your work go, can you see my aura, or can you read me, or stuff like that, and I said, well, that's my practice, and it's an invasive, and I have to ask permission to talk to your guides. So it's like if you want to book a session, we can go in and see what they show me, but I generally, you just kind of, the only time I pick up things are when it's something like I might be able to help them, or a warning like that person's kind of shifty right now, I think I should go this way. When I did do that, I did pick up little things with each person. Yeah.
When you did mine, I felt something release, and then all of a sudden I got this uncontrollable urge to cough because I felt something kind of come up, and all of a sudden I had to kind of cough, and then I needed water.
Yeah, when you enhance that energy, you will have releases. Yeah. So good. I'm glad something cleared.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I appreciate your insight and Angelo sharing. I'm from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Midwestern guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in any of this.
Right.
I was spiritual, and lots of spiritual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And felt that knowing, but never, someone told me that a piece of metal or a rock, crystal, whatever, has something, oh yeah, you just make up whatever you want to make up, and just call it, that's what you call it. That was my frame of mind.
Yeah.
And I've now learned, working with you and the retreat you did, that it really does have a significance, and there's a vibration, everything, I know that everything in energy is energy and vibration.
Well, if you think about it, too, is I had this incredible experience when I was up at Idlewild, and the mountain actually talked to me. Like I was drumming and doing my thing, and our friend was smoking a tobacco pipe, and you know, and my teacher, she was sending light into the land, and I was drumming, and I heard this booming voice and said, "Get up and heal my foot," and I was like, I didn't hear that. And I just kept drumming. And he goes, I said, get off your ass and heal my foot. And I was like, ooh, okay. And so I put my drum and my stick down, and I went over to the rock, and he said, now get on top of it. I'm like, okay. So I cradled in the energy, and he goes, now flip over. And I'm like, okay. And I flipped over, and he goes, now heal me. And I'm like, So it was like a lightning bolt of energy that I saw go down from my head, down through my arms, through my hands, into the rock. Oh, the part I'm forgetting, when I flipped over on all fours on the rock, it's like I could see an X-ray, and I could see the atoms and the neurons and the energy in the stone. So I could see that the stone was alive, and that it was actually an extension of the mountain. It went deep under the where we were and up to the mountain. And then when that energy came in, it went in, and it goes, now more. And so allowed more energy to come in and went underneath and went clear up to the mountain and was healing him. And so I've had some pretty crazy experiences where I just go, yes, like I just allow it and see what happens.
It's like imagination, but if you listen to it, go with it, it helps to open up something.
Mhm.
It's the capacity to listen to intuitive.
Well, because even if you think about like plants, you can talk to them and they change. The water molecules, like in What the Bleep, if you say loving things, it creates pretty crystals. If you are negative, it's dark and clumpy. Yeah, so it's like, so if there's atoms in the stones and in the crystals and they're very active, they want to be helpful. They want to do stuff. But the crystal's not going to heal you from the other. You have to interact with it. You have to hold it and work with it. So it's a tool. Anything else? Oh, wow. Well, thank you all. This was an honor. He kind of sprung it on me, and it's a great opportunity. And
We had an opening, yeah, we had a cancellation for tonight, and I called him like a little over a week ago.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm very excited.
you guys were all wonderful. I hope we have more interactions.
Thank you, everybody. Make sure you come next Wednesday and hear an experience. Jeff Kingfisher, we're always excited to have him. He did such a phenomenal job. So, did you do the? Yeah.
I can hear you a little bit.
You can hear me?
Oh,
So, yeah, no. So anyway, so come next week for Jeff Kingfisher, and of course, every Wednesday. If you don't have the email, send me a link or send us send me a message. I'll get you the email. I'll get your email, and I'll send you the monthly email that we send out for everything. If you don't have the email list, you can sign up. It's over there on a piece of paper. Just sign your email and name, and I'll add you to the list. And if you happen to want to give a donation night, you didn't have cash or whatever with you, whatever, there's a text to give information also on that pad over there. All right, so thank you all so much. Again, thank you so much. You're amazing. We really appreciate all your wisdom and sacred practice tonight. Thank you. All right.